This is Minda Wilson with Urgent Care. I'm excited to welcome Rick Middleton, who is associated with the 2002 Paralympics US Sled Hockey team and is turning it into a movie. So, Rick, tell me the story about how you got involved in hockey and what led you to the dramatic story about the Paralympic hockey team.
Well, it's a fantastic story, Minda, and thank you for having me on to tell it. It's one of the best untold sports stories of our time since it happened back in 2002, and hardly anybody knows about it. But I'll give you a little background on it. I used to play professional hockey with the Boston Bruins and New York Rangers back in the day, in the 70s and 80s. I retired in 1988, and really was away from the game for many years until I got a phone call in 2001 from a friend of mine who, unbeknownst to me, was a sled hockey player. I knew he was on the US disabled ski team, but I didn't know much about sled hockey, and I didn't know that he played it. But he let me know that the US national team was looking for a coach because their coach had quit in the World Championships in 2000. But he went on to tell me that this team had only won one game ever in their history, and they were going to be seeded last, 6 out of 6 teams, and they were only invited to the Paralympics because they were the host team. And then he asked me if I'd still be interested. I said, well, yeah.
What a great sales job, right?
yeah, right. Really build it up, right? And then... But all I heard was hockey, even though I didn't know what sled hockey was. I figured it couldn't be much different, and Paralympics. And I thought, geez, I've been out of the game for a while. It'd be great to get back in, even though I didn't have a lot of coaching ability. I've been playing hockey. I'm from Toronto, Canada, since I was 4 years old. So I know a little bit about the game, and I thought it would be a great challenge, especially with a team that had only ever won one game. And we just wanted to put on a good show in Salt Lake City, with our home team crowd, So last time the Olympics and Paralympics were in the United States.
And so you decided to take on the coaching responsibilities.
Well, yeah. What makes this an intriguing movie, beside the fact that we went on to win the gold medal from the 6th seed and the history that they had, was a gold medal game played against Norway, who was the reigning gold medal champions from Nagano in 1998, and a veteran team. We had over 8,000 of our own fans at the E Center in Salt Lake City, and the game went into a 10-minute overtime, and it went into a 5-man shootout, and it went down to the last shooter before we were able to win the game. The individual stories of these players and how some of them were born with disabilities, some of them had accidents when they were younger, older, a whole array of tough stuff in their lives. And then they found this sport, sled hockey. And some of them had played hockey as an able-bodied person, a kid or an adult, before their accidents, but some of them hadn't. There was one fellow on our team that from Chicago who was introduced to the sport from the Rehab Institute of Chicago, where he ended up after losing both legs. And in 3 years, he was able to make the national team just from doing that.
So let's learn a little bit about the Paralympics. So in order to participate in that, you have to have some form of injury, right? So
yes, a certain level of disability. I couldn't tell you exactly what it was or is. I don't think it's changed a lot. But at the Paralympic level, you have to have a certain form of disability. But the sport of sled hockey can be played by anyone at the recreation level, which makes it awesome because it is very hard to do. And being able-bodied gives you no advantage at all. If anything, because you have your legs, sometimes it's a disadvantage.
So what's the difference between sled hockey and regular hockey?
Well, there's not a huge difference. It was started over in Norway and Sweden in the 60s, and Canada picked it up in the 70s, and it really didn't come, or in the 80s, and it really didn't come to the U.S. till about the 90s. But the sport is played on a regular ice surface. You have 6 players on the ice, 5 players and a goalie at the same time.
So the players are in sleds as opposed to standing up. Is that
right? They're in sleds, depending on if they have their legs or not. Most of the national team, the Canadian and the U.S. national team today, most of the players are high double amps. I'm not sure why. The fact that they're probably a little quicker and a little more agile on their sleds. And after, in the 2000s, the U.S. national team I'm not sure how many veterans now, due to the Afghanistan and Iraq war. A lot of these guys found the sport of sled hockey when they were recovering from their injuries. And a certain percentage of the players on the national team today have lost one or both legs and are playing sled hockey.
So you don't need the use of your legs to participate in sled hockey.
You have 2 sticks that are about 2 feet long, one in your right hand and one in your left. The sled sits about 3 inches off the ice with hockey, if you will, skate blades like you'd wear on a pair of skates under your butt. Basically, you sit in a bucket, and they strap you in so you don't fall out of it. And depending on how good you are, those skate blades can be a foot apart, which is what I would wear so I don't fall over. But the people at the Olympic level, Paralympic level, usually those blades are about 1 inch apart, maybe 2. So they can really maneuver on the inside edges and outside edges like they're skating. It's pretty incredible. Plus, at the Paralympic level, it's full check. It's not a recreational sport.
So full check means that they are allowed to contact each other.
Oh, yeah. And they have a penalty that's in sled hockey. They don't have in able-bodied hockey called Tboning. You're not allowed to run the end of your sled into a person on purpose, but that happens quite a bit in sled hockey. And when you watch the movie, when the movie comes out, you'll see that a Norway player ended up getting a penalty on us with a little over a minute left in the overtime for Tboning one of our players and went 3 feet in the air.
Oh, my goodness.
The rule was, and I didn't even know this, and it's an Olympic rule, not an NHL rule, that if you're not finished your penalty by the end of regulation time, you can't be used in the shootout. And this guy that got the penalty was one of their better players, and it certainly helped us win the gold medal by having him not involved in the shootout.
That's incredible. So when people look at sled hockey, it looks like hockey. The game is the same.
Referees, linesmen out there. The only difference for the rinks, because there's a little lip on when you go into the player bench, there's a little lip, and it's very hard for sled hockey players to get their sleds over it. So they really have to take that lip out. And in Salt Lake City, and what they do in a lot of rinks now that have it, they take the benches, removable benches, and they put the plastic ice, the white plastic down that acts just like ice. So you can go right from the ice on the rink into the bench without any interference, and then back out and back in and back out, and you can use either door. And in Salt Lake City, they put some plexiglass in the benches so that you could see out onto the ice. But it also had a big TV monitor down the TV screen down the end, so that helped them watch the play while they were sitting in the bench. So
for somebody who's a real hockey fan, it's got all the pizzazz, all the excitement of regular hockey, and then there's more because you have these incredible athletes who are competing at an Olympic level, right?
Well, ours is almost 20 years ago, and like I said, they'd only won one game. Their first Paralympics was Nagano, and they were just forming the organization. But we were the spark that lit the fire for the U.S. national team, because since then they've won a bronze and 3 more golds in a row in Vancouver, Sochi, and Korea. So they're the winningest national team in the world right now, and the best. And it's an exciting game because, like the NHL, the athlete has gotten better. It's gotten faster. They know the game better. Boy, the games are a little quicker than they were back in 2002. Let's put it that way.
So let's talk about the movie. How many people are on the hockey team? We're on the hockey team.
Well, in those days, we had to pick 15 players, and it was August of 2001 when we picked the team. They left it as an open, because it was a disabled sport. They left it open to anybody that wanted to come and try out that was disabled. So 30 men came, no women. 30 men came out, tried out. We had to pick 15 out of the 30, which we did, and they went on to form the team. So what happened, and you'll see in the movie, is that was August 2001. About 3 weeks later, 9/11 happened.
Oh my goodness!
And we were supposed to play September 12th in a tournament in Montreal against Canada, and Japan was flying over. And they told Japan to go home, and we never played another team for 7 months. All we had was one training camp a month to get this team together and turn them into a competitive team. But we had no idea how we would do because we never played anybody. But it turned out to be good because nobody saw us either, so nobody knew what to expect from us.
So, and the movie that you're creating about this is called Tough Sledding, right?
Tough Sledding, yeah. The website is toughsleddingthemovie.com, and you can go on there and check out what it's all about. And it has the story on there. But we're also offering an open casting for people with disabilities or without, because we're looking for actors. And what we want to do is set a record with the most disabled actors in a movie, because, as you know, all the players were disabled. So we need people to act off the ice as a double, if you will, of the players on the ice. And what we're hoping to do is use some national team players or high-level sled hockey players to do all the on-ice scenes for us. And then the actors would do the off-ice scenes. And but we're doing a virtual open casting call right now. And we've had several already sent in that are very good. And whether it's for a role of coach or a player or just like an extra in the movie, and then we'll look at them, get them together, and down the road. I'm not sure of the exact dating on this because things are up in the air. We're talking with USA Hockey about possibly doing a lot of the filming around their national team camps, which they've had to postpone, obviously.
Yeah.
We're not sure when we're going to start that part of the filming, but anybody can do this virtual casting, and they just go on, as I said, the website, and it explains exactly what they need to do.
How old are the people that play this game? Is it just young people, or they could be any age?
We had ages 17 to I think our assistant coach, our assistant goalie was like 40, and one of the players was 40. So in those, the team is much younger now. Their average age these days is probably low 20s, maybe 25. Our average age, I think, was 38.
Wow.
Because a lot of these guys have been playing for 10, 12 years, just, trying to get to a level that they could be respectable with. And like I said, their first Paralympics was Nagano in '98, and they only won one game, and that was against Great Britain, who's never had a team since. And then they didn't win a game in the World Championships in 2000. So the program was in a shambles when I took it over, but really from the time I got on the ice with them, I saw a lot of talent. We had some world-class players, and a great goalie, Manny Guerra, who had been playing for over 10 years, one of the grandfathers of sled hockey in America. And so we had a lot of talent that people didn't know, and it was my job to kind of meld them together and try to make them as a team. And obviously, it turned out okay.
Yeah. So this is really exciting. So you have a team that has, their personal stories, have are a testament to overcoming adversity. And then in addition to that, you have a team that finds its own adversity. There are people that they haven't been able to be successful, and then they start coalescing, and then 9/11 happens, and then there's more adversity, and then all of a sudden you get into this ring, and you're the total underdogs. Nobody's expecting you to win at all.
Exactly.
And then once that happened, people are going, "Oh my God, who are these people?"
That's what happened in Salt Lake City. Nobody really knew about us, and the people in Salt Lake City really, got involved with the Olympics first, and then the Paralympics were like 3 weeks after. We stayed in the same village and everything, but the people in Salt Lake City really supported us. But as we won each game, this was over a week time, more people would start coming to the games. We had over 6,000 for the game against Canada on a Saturday night. They were the number one seed, and we spanked them 5-1. And that's when we first knew that, hey, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. They were our second game. Our first game was Japan, and we were tied 0-0 going into the third period, and I was dying, because if we couldn't beat Japan, I didn't think we'd even win a medal, So we ended up winning 3-0. But so it was really a progression in Salt Lake City of having our confidence and finding out who we were.
Right, and each game sounded like it had its own excitement. And then plus you have this huge variety of ages, right? So the people you're looking for can be young, they can be, like in their late teens, but also looking for your movie, you're looking for older people as well to cast.
Yeah, like I said, 17 to 40, it doesn't have to be right on the ages. Me as a coach, we're hoping to get some really big name actors to hopefully play myself and my assistant coach, Tom Moulton, who's a good friend of mine here in New Hampshire. And but the rest of obviously the actors would be, the players, and there was 15 on the team, and other people involved around it, whether it's players from other teams, that were written into the story. So there's going to be quite a few spots open, and not only for disabled actors, but for able-bodied actors also.
Can anybody try out, or do you have to be like can anyone, is this open to anyone, whether or not you've been a professional, or do you have to be a professional?
No, it was back when we picked the team. It was kind of an open call that.
No, I mean the actors, for the actors.
Oh, no, it's open. It's an open casting call virtually. They can go on toughsleddingthemovie.com, and they can see exactly, click on audition, what they need to do to send in. There's 3 different scripts that they can read from, whether it's a coach, a player, or I can't remember the third one, but an extra possibly, with a couple lines. But we've had some submitted already that look very good, and not professional actors. So you don't need to be a professional. You don't need to be in the union. We're just looking for people that would like to take a shot at it, and we're certainly not going to be the only ones. Our script writers and the people that are the professionals in the movie business would be picking each person for the roles. So that's a little down the road. So we have a little time to get all these open casting exhibits in. mainly just because of the number of people in the movie that were disabled, which I don't think there's been a movie like that up to this point. And there's a whole union of disabled actors in Hollywood.
Are you continuing to be involved with the Olympics? Is that something?
No, for some reason they never hired us back. And they went on to turn a gold into a bronze, or maybe they would have 5 golds in a row. But no, after we never got invited back to coach, Tom and I coached a team locally. We got some of the Boston Bruins jerseys, and we went around to different tournaments as the New England Bruins type of deal. And the dedication of these guys, not all of them were national team guys. A couple of them were playing for Boston. There's two players that were on the national team that are in the Massachusetts Hockey Hall of Fame today, and Joe Howard and Kip St. Germain. And they played on the team with us, with other guys. And we had a lot of fun. We traveled around to disabled tournaments, and I actually went in net one night because the goalie got hurt, and I have a win as a sled hockey goalie.
So tell me a little bit about, you played hockey from the time you were a young person, right?
Yeah, I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I grew up in the 60s, so there wasn't a whole lot else to do in Canada those days but play hockey. So I was lucky. I grew up in a great family, very supportive, and just climbed the ladder to the point where I ended up having some good years when I needed to, and I ended up getting drafted by the New York Rangers in 1973. Played in the American Hockey League 1 year, 2 years in New York, and 12 in Boston with the Bruins. I got traded in 76, retired in 1988. Played against the LA Kings quite a bit.
Do you have a feeling about the future of the movie? Like, when is the movie coming out?
We're hoping to have it released by the fall of 21, or at the very latest, early winter 2022, because the next Winter Olympics is in China right now in 22, the Olympics and the Paralympics. Now, whether that gets moved, that's yet to be seen, but I don't think, like the Summer Olympics got pushed back a year. I'm hoping that the Winter Olympics doesn't. So we'd like the movie to come out before the Olympics, the 22 Olympics and Paralympics.
So you've got this really exciting story, basically, from underdog to victorious. You've
Right.
got this very exciting recruitment plan to add diversity to the story by recruiting people who are disabled to participate in the production of the movie, and you're also looking for funding. Is that correct as well?
Oh yeah, we've learned so much. I've never been involved with a movie, and it's been over 3 years now that we're going through the process here. But we're getting a little farther each time. But with that, we had to write a script and pay the writers and this and that. So, but now it's the real expense comes when you're making the movie. So we're looking to raise some money. We're looking for investors for the movie, which every movie does need it. And so we had Gary Branch, who's a part of our production team, came up with a great idea. Tom Moulton, my assistant coach, happens to own a company right here where I live in Hampton, New Hampshire, that made sleep apnea masks. Well, about a year ago, he developed a mask for the construction industry. And since what's happened in our world today, they're perfect. They're N95 masks. So he had a great idea that people could donate $100, have a mask sent to a first responder, a doctor, or a nurse in their name, or we just send one to anyone that we see fit. And they donate $100, and half of it goes to the mask, and half will go to the making of our movie. And it's tax deductible, the $50. So they can also see that on our website. It says donate N95 mask. And they can do that as a fun thing to send to a doctor, a nurse, or a first responder they know.
Is there a link for that?
Yep, right. It's right on the toughsledding.themovie.com. Yep, up at the top, you'll see movie, audition, donate, N95 mask, and they can click on that, and it'll tell them what they need to do and fill out all the information.
So if people want to reach out to you, learn more about your program, how they can participate in the movie, or about perhaps donating beyond funding a mask, what is the best way for them to do that?
Well, they can go on. There's also a contact button on the website. I would say give me a call, but I'm not necessarily the best for all those things, the contact. So there's a contact button that they can fill out their information, email and everything, and we'll get back to them about it. And they can submit that. And there's also in the pull down something about jobs at Nifty 16 Productions if they're interested in just helping out with the movie or getting involved if they have a history in the movie business. I'm not exactly sure which jobs, but other partners of mine are. So I'm just a guy that lived the story.
Right. Well, it's an amazing story, an exciting story, and I'm sure people would love to be a part of it in any small way. So,
well,
Rick,
I would say analogize it with the movie Miracle.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a story about the underdog U.S. team that beat the unbeatable Russian team, and I know because I played against them and lost to them as a professional. So I know what a miracle that was, and this was similar, very similar to that, except we don't know all the names. Nobody knows that this happened, so that's what's going to make it exciting.
Oh yeah. So Rick, it's been a pleasure to have you on our program. The movie is called Tough Sledding. It's about the 2002 Paralympics US Sled Hockey team. It's got hockey, it's got underdogs, it's got excitement, it's got interesting characters overcoming adversity and romance.
Because our captain got engaged on the ice after the last game of the tournament.
Oh my God, it's got everything. Yeah. So for those who are interested, please go to their website. Rick, it was a great pleasure to have you on our show, and we look forward to hearing about the success of the movie.
Well, thank you, Minda. It was great being on with you. I appreciate it.
This is Minda Wilson with Urgent Care.